All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the alaracanfieldshow, the Awaken to Happiness Now global series. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And today, my good friend Brooklin Rayne is back with us, and we are going to be talking about connecting to and creating from the portal of infinite source potential. And so some of what we're going to discuss and talk about today is we're going to talk about what is the portal of infinite source potential and how do we access it? Is it possible to create and manifest our reality? What is the significance of remembering ourselves as infinite creator beings, and how does this influence the timeline potentials of the collective of humanity and Sophia Gaia? How does our greater connection with everything as threads of consciousness play into the embodiment of our greater ability to manifest and ground our desired reality into creation? And we're going to receive a guided transmission to bring us into the portal of infinite source potential and to assist our cellular water and DNA to attune to and activate its highest divine crystalline potential. Exciting, right? So there's going to be a lot. So it's going to be a really high vibe call. Have a drink handy, be present the best you can. And for those of you who don't know Brooklin, she's been on our show many times before. She is an intuitive channel, a cosmic heart oracle, a quantum healer. She has experienced many incarnations with the Sophia Christ Collective, the Lyran Syrian Whites, the Orphan, Ancient Pleiadians, and Hathors. And through her diamond sun crystal structure, she assists humans to return their original divine blueprint combined with their Christos template, allowing a fuller embodiment of the I Am presence and unity consciousness. So we'll talk a little bit more about all of that with Brooklin. But first of all, thank you so much, everyone, for being here and joining us today. It's going to be a high vibe call, like it always is. The transmission is going to be super powerful because Brooklyn's transmissions are really powerful. So stay tuned for that. And we're going to be taking some live caller questions. So if you have a question for Brooklyn, you can raise your hand or you can type your question in the chat. All right, so Brooklyn, welcome back to the show. So glad you're here.
Thank you. So glad to be here. Thank you so much. Always have so much fun together.
We do, and it's always such a high vibe call, and I know the energies are already starting to build and stream through for all of us. So please, everyone, be willing to receive as well for yourself, whatever that means, right? So just be willing to receive and be open. So Brooklyn, it's been a while since you've been here. Maybe, I don't know, it always feels like a long time. So the energies on the planet are like crazy. They're so different. They're changing all the time. And the whole time thing we were talking about earlier, it's like sometimes I don't even know what day it is. I don't even know where I am in time, and at the same time, everything's just like going so fast at the same time, right?
Oh my gosh, it really is. You've explained it quite well. It's just, yeah. And just when we feel like, oh, wow, this is a new norm type of thing, or like, we're in this next, like, I feel like we say that every day, by the way, right? Like, I'm sure we're all in the same thing. Like for the last decade, it's like, oh, the energies are even more palpable now. But yet they just keep up leveling. They keep up leveling. And yeah, there's so much that's taking place. That that February 22nd, that big portal and kind of launch, right, was like, as we felt prior to, right? Some of us, similarly to the animals, prior to an earthquake, we start to feel it days beforehand, right? And it's like, okay, wait a second, something's about to get really shaken up here. And of course a lot of people were feeling a lot of physical aspects of that, right? And emotional and mental and all things in between. Yet, they weren't kidding. The astrologists and all of us that, are tuning in and receiving through our own sort of channels of source, kept getting these downloads like, okay, like, it's time to really, rely upon those foundational spiritual practices and, and really hunker into your 0 point and wow, right? It's like, whoa, okay, yeah. It's really ramping up. And time is just, I am actually really grateful for things such as cell phones and devices that have calendars linked to them, because, if I weren't as trusting in the whole ascension process and knowing that, we're really shifting our cellular structure and everything, our DNA, into a higher crystalline plasma technology, I might start to, kind of play into some like fear-based programming of like memory issues, because I literally have to check in so many times a day to remember, okay, wait, what day are we linearly, right? And like, what are my next, like, 4 obligations? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like what's happening today exactly? Like I would be lost without my calendar. I mean, I use it all the time. I have to, because it's like I will forget, what it is I'm supposed to be doing, because the energies are such that you just start to embody these energies more and more, and you just become so present with them that you're not really operating at the same level as you used to. And to be able to function in a linear way, like you said, number one, we have to be really grounded, but we have to keep checking in, because we are still functioning in this reality, in this linear reality, as well as the other dimensions that we're playing in. Awesome, great, but we're still functioning here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm grateful, for, extended relatives and family and so forth, because, when we have people that are choosing all different levels and layers of, paths of ascension, some very much more, embracing the third density and that and sort of like the layers of consciousness. And we come to interact with them. It's like, then we start to realize too, like the palpability of just how much things are expanding and just how quickly everything is moving, because it's like, yeah, it almost feels like this strange like plasma cartoon sort of thing playing out, because it's I believe that everybody in their own way and their own interpretation and their own technology and spidey senses, right, are starting to see and witness and feel energy on such fine thread, subtle threads, like, it's getting so specific and so palpable, any sort of gap in frequencies, and it becomes like really pronounced, which is, it's fun, but it's also can be a little bit wobbly.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are experiencing that, but they go in, because they don't understand what's happening, they go into this fear instead of understanding that we're just playing with different frequencies, and we're going through accessing perhaps different dimensions, of reality, but only for a split second. But even that split second can make you feel disconcerted, make you feel unsettled, make you wonder, like what's going on, instead of allowing yourself to just experience and go with it and go with the flow and trust, right, what's happening. It's like, all right, so I'm experiencing a little shift here. Okay, this is cool. And when you acknowledge that, of course, you're going to experience more of it, right?
So true. And I love that you brought that in, because such a big part of, of this portal of infinite source potential that we all are, right? That we all have our own unique, of course, sound and light signature that creates that portal. So much of it, our ability to really embody that and to access it and to, bring it into application in real time in the here and now, is that being able to get to that place of being the witnessing presence, right? I mean, I know we hear it, we've heard it in a million different ways. It's timeless, spiritual wisdom, right? To really find that present moment connection, that center point, that 0 point. And yet it couldn't be more encouraged and almost demanded, right, and commanded in this now time. Because if we can kind of, can really get comfortable and relocating and hunkering down in that place, then we can realize, when we enter into that kind of situation that we're talking about, which seems to be becoming more and more and more, that there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And the more we stay in that center point, that 0 point, and that neutral point, and allow ourselves to be the witness of it, and get excited about it and curious about it, versus, contracting and then catapulting ourselves into, a wormhole or a timeline where we're sort of experiencing more of that fear or more of that magnetizing the sort of the discordant felt sense of it. Then we ride on top of the wave.
Exactly.
Versus, kind of getting taken under in the undertow. And of course, often easier said than done. Yet I feel like, if 4 or 5 more months, linear months of growing intensity has been shown by Source and this One Source collective that prominently comes in, I feel like we will all at some point find deeper depths of what is meant by surrendering into the unknown, right? Because the resistance, response to it is just, it's almost unsustainable. Even if that's part of our blueprint, it seems like it's really going to just soften any of those edges. So.
And I think that, like you said at the beginning, it's so important to have our foundational practices, ready, at the ready, using them, but also having them at the ready when we have those moments of, okay, maybe I'm going into fear. It's like, okay, nope, I'm going to breathe, I'm going to ground, I'm going to connect back into who I am, and I'm going to expand, like whatever your practices happen to be, right? So doing those, right? Not just knowing about them, but saying, yeah, I have all these different tools in my tool belt, but actually implementing them. And I think, right now, especially because the energies are so intense, we need them. They're not just like okay, it's nice to have. No, it's like a requirement at this point.
Yeah, it really is. And that's one of the things that wants to come in, really with sort of engaging in and connecting into this portal that we are of infinite potential, right? Is to, okay, how do we go from that intellectually understood and often spoken about instant manifestation, right? And we hear it and understand intellectually, and there's a part of our core essence that attunes to the knowing and the truth and the faith and the trust that, that we are these massive beings of pure source consciousness, and that, we do have the ability to create our own reality. And yet, we've acquired and accumulated consciously and unconsciously so many threads of self-limiting beliefs and emotional densities and so forth, in our experience here, that it makes it a little bit more challenging to take it from the intellectually understood concept to the embodied beingness of it, right? And the application of it, and the actual frequency field of the instant manifester of our desired reality. And so, it becomes almost overwhelming when we start to feel the palpability of this grander portal, like the macro expression of it, as we're maybe perhaps feeling it build through this co-creation and connection right now. It's sort of like, okay, well, yeah, I want to experience this. I want to become this. I want to take it from that intellectually understood concept into an embodiment. And, so many different beings and collectives come into show. It really does all go back to these foundational practices of getting into the present moment, getting into a place of, connecting into a place of neutrality, taking, our flashlight and really allowing ourselves to get transparent with ourselves, right? To get naked with ourselves, to really get into that place of vulnerability, or what is referred to as vulnerability, as to, okay, what have I consciously and unconsciously created as part of my belief systems, of my thought programs, et cetera, that are playing out on a regular basis within my fields, right? Within my own personal hologram, that are in polarity to that full flow of potential, to that full expression of potential, right? Because a lot of times, we're thinking one thing, we have this self-talk, this, negative self-talk, or these, these programs playing out. And we're so confused as to, okay, well, why isn't it happening? Why am I not being able to really experience this creation of, this desired reality? So calling in the frequencies, calling in the intentions of, okay, bring it, show me, of course, with grace and ease. What programs am I running? What mixed signals might I be sending to the universe? So part of the engaging in this, in ourselves as the portal of infinite source potential is to really show up for ourselves and begin to pay very close attention without any judgment, without any fear. Okay, what am I running? What programs, just like a computer, right, that has, so many things accumulated in it that it's running at the slower speed. And we're not even sure what all we've had stored in it, because it's been, over such a grand period of time that we've collected and printed all this data into it. So, where can we clean house? Where can we let go? Where can we release? Where can we change, even in our every single day practical tasks that we're doing, something very simple. Where can we catch ourselves perhaps playing out even the engagement of something simple? Where can we catch ourselves in those programs that are limiting our way of expressing ourselves, right? It's, and it's, once we start paying attention to it and bringing our awareness to it, it's like, oh, wow. And it's great, if we can have friends and people in the community to hold, similar frequencies around us, and as we command it and as we set our intention to become more aware of it, it happens. It's like, I know my higher self's like, well, you asked and you shall receive.
Absolutely.
And here you go. Let me call you out. So it really comes down to this soft, compassionate practice of self-love, whereby we allow ourselves to come out of hiding. We allow ourselves to come out, to really get clear on, okay, where am I kind of shoving things in the corners and these old, drawers of DNA? And where can I shine the light on it and let it go so I can create a clear field of energy and then, really radiate out that field of potential.
Absolutely. And, it comes down to being present, being aware, and actually being willing to see what's actually there, right? Instead of, like you said, hiding it in the corners or putting it under the rug, where you can't see it, but actually shining that light and being willing to see it, and without judgment, without anything else, any reactions, just seeing, okay, this is here and this no longer serves me, right? It doesn't serve me, doesn't serve my intentions, doesn't serve what I'm creating right now. So I'm willing to let this go with love and grace and ease, letting it go so that my field can now be clearer to create what I want.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we all do this until we don't, and then we still do it some more oftentimes, right? Which is, we've all chosen to play so many different characters and roles, and we've had, so many different stories that we've engaged in the co-creation of, right? And it becomes so comfortable and so relatable to identify with ourselves as those characters, as those roles, as those stories, versus identifying with the core essence of our eternal selves as source, shining our consciousness down into the co-creation of those characters and those roles and those stories, yet always remaining the witnessing presence and observer and co-creator of it, right? And the difference with that, as we all know, but we tend to, to forget sometimes, is it's really from that point of 0 point, that point of connection into the present moment, in our full desire and commanding of our consciousness into the identification of ourselves as source, as the witnessing presence, that we're able to then let go of the attachments and let go of identifying with ourselves, because there's nothing wrong with any of those characters in those roles, whether we play the victim or the victimizer, the hero, the villain, the observer, whatever it is, they're all glorious. We came here to experience it. It's all part of the expansion of our consciousness through polarity, right? Yet it's a lot of times those stories and those attachments to those characters, they represent a finite portal or a finite coordinate, so to speak, on the quantum map, right? So although brilliant and we're grateful and we receive so much wisdom from them, if we continue to attune and to identify ourselves as the victim or as the victimizer or whatever it may be, then we're not allowing ourselves to come into this place, of integration and full expression and full embodiment, right? Because I feel like, and this may be an assumption not meant to be made, but I feel like everyone who's joining us right now in this connection is in some way, shape, or form desiring to come into greater embodiment of their I am presence, right? Or their monadic framework, their higher self, their oversoul, however one desires to word it, right?
Yeah.
And so, these different ways of releasing, to your point, that which no longer serves us, and bringing in our crystalline DNA, our divine architecture, sets us up into greater and greater and greater and greater bandwidths of clear source consciousness. And then as we drop in and set the intention to access ourselves as that portal of infinite potential that has no boundary, potential that has no condition, potential of pure creation, which is our divine birthright, right? Can be accessed. So it's a journey.
Yes, for sure.
Right. And what often comes in, if not almost so many times a day, is how can we find joy in it? How can we get really curious about it? Right. It's like we take ourselves so seriously and we're so programmed in the judgment of self.
Yeah.
That sometimes we're really just focused on the end point, versus enjoying each and every now moment leading up to it, which of course, I believe you brought in at the beginning, opens you up to so many seeds of magical experiences and miracles, along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, we forget about the journey. We're focused on some end result that we, have it in our minds that somehow is going to complete us or make our lives better in some way, or, whatever happens to be. But the thing is, we are a source, embodied in this reality, experiencing life, experiencing creation. But we forget that, right? We just think, oh, I'm just Alara. It's like, no, I'm actually not just Alara. That's just one role that source is playing, right? And experiencing. But Alara is fun in most ways, but there are some pieces of Alara that are not that fun. So, she needs to look at that, right? And without, there's no judgment there, it's just an observation, right? And being willing to observe truly from a place of unconditional love and compassion and total understanding of the human experience. The human experience is not meant to be, or was not meant to, just be easy all the time, but it was meant to have different experiences and learn from them and grow from them and have that expansion. So, always come back to bringing in that compassion. And we talked about compassion before with you, as well as like gratitude and forgiving ourselves for mistakes, so-called mistakes we made, or experiences that we had, etc. Again, it's all learning, it's all experiencing, and it's all part of the journey. And it's part of the process of us ascending to embody more of source consciousness that we truly are.
Yeah, I love it. And it's so true, because, a lot of times we're so programmed through our 3D, through this, matrix of separation or veils of illusion, or however one, refers to it, to constantly be seeking outside of ourselves, to even to know source as an entity or a being or, something outside of ourselves, which is so profound. I mean, I clap and applaud all the time, the brilliance of the system of human enslavement and imprisonment that has been constructed, right? Because it's been so efficient in getting the job done. And yet, that I think what I get an inner smile about all the time, as I'm connecting with source, connecting with my oversoul, is that they're almost like, knocking, hey, just for the record, again, it's right here, it's right here within. And I know we hear that. And again, it's like, it's been made into almost like a cliche, right? And I always say, pay attention to cliches, because they're the most, generally speaking, like the diamonds, right? The biggest pearls of wisdom and seeds of divine truth are within these things that are deemed cliche. And it's true. Everything is within and always has been, right? It's just that we drop into this system, and we, with a blindfold on, and then we go through navigating. But all those of us that have, incarnated in this incarnation, are all here in our own unique way to reclaim sovereignty, right? To reclaim sovereignty, to reclaim freedom, to reclaim, and embody and remember and open ourselves back up to, heaven on earth, right? Okay, I am source, having this human experience, and let me bring forth and take this time of massive influx of plasma technologies and light and assistance from, again, going back for a second to that February 22nd massive opening and, stargates and portals. And, I know we've all seen it in so many different ways in which it expressed itself, planetary alignments. There was a pole shift that they were showing, and, and also this massive collective of pure prime source creator angelic beings dropped in, and they were showing me that the Gaia even transcended her own blueprint, coming into this greater framework of the original source archetype of sovereignty, whereby, bringing us as the micro of the macro, into a greater positioning, if you will, to transcend our own blueprints, right? So this is epic time. This is such an epic time to really be able to, we have all these resources. And now, it's like coming back into this place where we can remember ourselves as this portal of infinite potential, so that we can navigate through operating through, and directing our consciousness into these resources that we are, assembling all of our angelic templates and resurrecting our DNA, et cetera, to further embody and be able to come back into that radiant place of complete bliss state that we've all been long awaiting.
And that is a state that we all deserve and we can access, right? If we're truly willing to receive that, we can have that. And that bliss state is something that it truly is, we use the word bliss, but it truly is indescribable. You have to experience it. It's an experiential feeling, I guess you could say, but a state. And as we're talking about all of this, it's like, you said, just now, it's an epic time. And that's what I want you to remember as we are going to be taking some questions, etc. Remember the time that we're in. Remember that this is a time when there are so many energies supporting us coming into the planet. We are receiving all the time, and that we are never separate from source. We're truly never separate from source. So ask your question from that type of perspective. Make sense? Because when you look at it like that, yeah, I am all of that, and there's so much support available. There's so much happening right now that I am willing to look at who I truly am and the different aspects of myself that I want to now experience or radiate out to express. And some of those other ones that are no longer congruent with me, I'm willing to let them go. Right? It's like those have served me in the past, right? So they have served me. Everything has served us in the past in some way, but is it still continuing to serve us, or is it keeping you stuck and limited in the older patterns and programs and beliefs that you had at one point? So, Brooklyn, do you want to take some questions?
Absolutely, yeah, please.
All right, so you can raise your hand. We already have some hand raised, or you can type your question in the chat, and we will see what we can do, what we can create for all of us. Layla, you want to unmute yourself?
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Awesome.
Good. There you are. Where are you? There you are.
Yay, we get to see you.
Oh gosh. Okay, so my question kind of takes us back down to every day, like you were talking about tasks, everyday living. And I had an experience over the weekend where there was a gathering, and I had never said yes to go to the gathering. I was kind of waiting to see how I felt, but other people who had said yes basically flaked on this lady that we're friends with who always comes to us. And it was the first time we would go there. And it's a ways to travel. And I get confused about how to make choices that are in loving alignment with myself, because part of me wants to honor that she went to like the effort of creating food and having us over and to create an environment to welcome us, and the other part of me didn't really want to go. And so when everybody else flaked, I for sure went when I was kind of iffy. And it's kind of a pattern to make sure others are okay. But I get really confused about how to make loving choices. Like both of them have pros and cons. And I'm not sure if you just say, I'm making this choice and then I make that choice okay, or how do you navigate things like that?
Yeah, I love it because already well, first of all, let me just say there's this massive white aura around you, just as you're talking. So I just always love pointing stuff like that out when it happens, because it's really beautiful and pronounced. Well, there again, right? There is no wrong or right way. So I feel like you even know that, I can feel your higher self and, and that inner, curiosity, and exploration of all the different possibilities and potentials that exist in every now moment and in every experience. Right. And so honoring that as you have, right? Because it's just okay, there are all these different potentials and all these different ways to navigate through this. And I feel like in your solar plexus and in your heart, what's coming up to, for further awareness and kind of connection and curiosity and exploration is, okay, so I feel slightly maybe imbalanced in this situation in my choosing to go there, because it does follow that pattern of honoring or looking to sort of take care of, to caretake, or to to support someone else's greatest expression of love, right, or of feeling valued, versus what feels like it's coming up for you in this in this particular experience, which is okay, getting comfortable and knowing that your intention is is to really hold a space for others to be able to experience and to know that they are loved and they are embraced and, and valued, right? And yet holding that same space for yourself first and foremost, right? Because if we're conducting or we're doing something in a state of awareness that it's not something we really is in the most, grand flow of self-love, self-compassion, and self-nourishment. And yet we're going to do it anyways because we're taking, almost feeling like we're taking a sense of responsibility for someone else's experience, right? Then even though our intention is good, we're creating more of the same. You're creating more of the same experience to come back around again on the spiral continuum for you to potentially show up and choose differently. And you're also supporting, even though the intention is very pure, you're also supporting the idea that this is, this person is, incapable of holding her own energy field or, participating, in her blueprint with sovereignty, with freedom, with, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I know it sounds like a little bit like, oh, really? Like that sounds like it's a little bit out, but really, again, when you get to we get to this place where we're seeing every single thread of frequency that's playing out in it, there is no wrong or right way. How was the experience when you went? Did you end up feeling like you ended up having fun, or how was the experience for you?
I liked it for a while, but I would have liked to have left earlier, but I drove with someone else and wasn't in control of that. And even as you're talking, it's coming in so strong. The childhood dynamics in the home that, it was either or, one or the other. It couldn't be both. Like both people couldn't get their needs met. It was always somebody at the expense of somebody.
Yeah.
Feel it.
And two, to your knowing, and in your initial question, it is about the lens of perception that we're able to apply to every situation as well, right? And how we choose to experience it. So, but what came up for you is you knew from as you connected with yourself as source to your core essence, that there was no wrong or right way, of navigating through this. And it's just an exploration of our choice, our choice that we decide to make. But because there are these patterns that are ready to be transcended, of you seeing, feeling, and knowing your value, right? Being able to speak your truth, to communicate. And it's beautiful that you came into that greater awareness too of there, it doesn't have to be this way or that way. It can be, lots of things, a mixture of things in between, because maybe what could have even happened is you communicated you could have communicated and said, gosh, I just want to really put it out there that I'm witnessing how much of your love and your, and your compassion and your light that you put into creating this experience for others. And even though in this now moment, it doesn't feel totally aligned for me to participate, in traveling there for a myriad of reasons, I do want you to know that I feel it and I appreciate it and I appreciate you and I value you, right? So even sometimes in just witnessing that and expressing that, but then really at the same time, being able to nurture and love and support yourself in in the way that you feel is most aligned. It's like, oh, that's, but we get so programmed.
Yeah.
And we get programmed into thinking like, okay, there's one choice or two choices. I go or I don't go. And if I don't, so there's so many things, but I feel it unwinding.
Yeah.
I feel it unwinding as we're talking about it and bringing it into further awareness here.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, you have such a beautiful and profound heart, and you're such a loving being. And I know, this, it's time to take all of that love, bring it into center point, bring it home, fall in love, with yourself as source, with yourself as this beautiful beacon of light. And you will be shining out the most omnipotent, space and rays of support to others, right? Because it really is that. It's like, okay, put the oxygen mask on first. If we step into this situation, once again, putting someone else's, value and someone else's, concerning over someone else, while we know that we're feeling this sense of like, then, we bring it back around again at a future time, because the universe is, awaiting us to respond differently.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah. And even as you just spoke those words of what I could have said, heat went through my body and a lot of activity in my heart area. So thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Layla. And, that's something we've all experienced from time to time. So thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
Awesome. All right. So Angela has a question in the chat, and she said, I noticed that as we try to remain co-creating with ease and grace, there are points of feeling overwhelmed, followed by frustration. How do we stay in the moment, given that as time flies by faster, our patience with our progress seems distorted?
Yeah. I mean, Angela, you just brought in so many nuggets of awesomeness, like in one question. It's like, yeah, there's so many, it is moving so quickly. And in every single now moment and every single experience, right? It's like, there's so many things coming up for review. It's like, whoa, okay. There's the knowing, the desire, our intention to continue to embody and to manifest and to be the co-creators of our reality, right? And then all these things are popping up and it's like, what? And, what I hear coming in for this is, presence, right? Present moment. Okay, let me take a breath. Because things are coming, from all different directions and from within and from outside of me. And so just coming into that place of, okay, there is nothing but this present moment. I am source. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to recalibrate, reconnect to that simple yet profound wisdom, and I'm going to honor all the things that are coming forth, because, again, what came in at the beginning of this full transparency, right? It's not about judging ourselves or judging the frustration, right? Or the impatience or the things that are, coming up as a result of our navigation through this. It's having the awareness that they're present and then finding a place the best we can, and should we choose to get neutral, to get centered, to take that position as the witnessing observer, and to be able to navigate from, a 360 degree, if you will, space of greater clarity. So if we just get present, hunker down into this moment, take a breath and say, okay, what am I experiencing right now? I'm experiencing frustration. I'm experiencing some impatience. I'm experiencing, this, that, and the other thing. Okay, what I'd like to be experiencing, what I command to be experiencing right now is the greater clarity of where those things are coming from within me, taking ownership that somehow, I've co-created consciously or unconsciously these imprints, or they wouldn't be coming up as part of my experience right now, right? And, how can I get to a place of centeredness where I can, breathe through it, let it go, get centered, and open ourselves into that expression of infinite potential. Because when we feel those things, when we feel, impatience, when we feel frustration, it's a sense of contraction, right? Our physical, mental, emotional, and spirit bodies, tend to contract because those are all on the fear spectrum. And those are in the polarity of our core essence, of our of, of the core essence of ourselves as source. Yet there, we've all participated in them and we've all acquired them in different degrees and ways. So, as we come into that place and we get really clear and very neutral and breathe and let go and, and command the clarity in the situation. I hear in this particular, what you brought forth is surrendering more into the unknown, right? It's like, okay, it's the thinking mind that's trying to really run the show in terms of finding out, when is this going to manifest? How is this going to manifest? What does it look like, right? The thinking mind wants to know that because it wants to have all the details, because it's, it's in this mode of trying to create this, this finite system and, and analyze everything. But if we can drop into our heart space, into our, eternal atom seed, right? Into our 0 point, into the now moment, taking some breaths, getting clear, identifying with ourselves as source, coming out of, any of the wormholes that are present in this experience, and just allow ourselves to surrender into knowing when we drop into that place and we set a clear intention that everything is in divine perfection and divine flow, right? And when we even just taking that breath and dropping in, we start to realize that frustration and impatience is already greatly dissipated, because we're not fueling it. We're not identifying with ourselves as it, but yet we're in this place of knowing that, somehow we've brought it into our experience and we've magnetized or co-created it. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's helpful.
Let us know, Angela, how that resonates with you. Okay, so let us know in the chats. That'd be great. Raphael is asking, can you tell us a little bit about how harmful EMFs can affect our energy field?
Yes. Okay. So that's a really awesome question. And I feel like that answer, just like at kind of anything else, right, is it really is a different answer for each and every one of us, because we're all, unique individuations of source, right? We all have our own unique blueprint. We're all at a different place within our ascension, right? Where we are in this now moment. And so as we begin to further embody our oversouls, right? Our oversoul system, our monadic framework, as we begin to further embody our crystalline technology, our plasma technology, we get to a place in our vibrational frequency whereby we're not even, we're at such a level of the commanding and the directing of our consciousness, free of entanglements in the third density, whereby we're not even affected by 5G, right? So what does that mean? It means something differently for everybody, because a lot of, as we know, right, this time of ascension, and hello, Ra, nice to see you again. So much of this is we're not leaving the physical body. We're bringing the physical body along with us, right? So we're ascending our physical material. We're ascending every cell of our beingness, our DNA, our cellular water. Whereas in previous timelines and previous pockets of ascension, which many of us have experienced in other timelines and incarnations, where we've ascended, we've left our physical body, right? We've left it behind, and we've ascended, beyond the reincarnation wheel, but beyond the third density. This time around, in an effort to bring a full field of unified consciousness, law of one, into greater precipitation and grounding here, and to assist, Gaia as a whole to be able to do the same, it's about taking the physical matter, which of course is the micro of the macro of Gaia, right? And ascending it as well. So that's where the more and more we're paying homage and connection and have a greater understanding, so to speak, of the significance of the physical body and our caretaking of it and listening to it and seeing what it needs in this now time to be able to handle the frequencies that are coming in, right? And to handle our technology of our oversoul to be embodied. We bring ourselves into, into a lighter and lighter and lighter state of physicality. And as that takes place, all sorts of systems of creation that are part of the third density, including the 5G, become almost obsolete because we're not even in the vibrational bandwidth and field of consciousness anymore to certain degrees and levels, right? We're here, we're part of the collective bandwidth of humanity, which keeps us in, in participation of the incarnation, yet we're not affected by lots of the different frequencies that would have previously created dis-ease, discordance, and distortion within our field. So, however, one might think like, oh, great, where am I at this point? That's great, but what about right now in this moment? Well, here's the other thing. We are source, and we've forgotten that as a whole, as a collective. And we're starting to remember that, and we're starting to accept that intellectually, and we're starting to embody it more and more. And yet, all the different systems of fear and propaganda of fear and, this so intricately wound into all systems, education and politics, blah, 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 right? All of it. We all know it. It only exists here, and it only continues to be fueled and expanded if we, each one of us as the individual and us as the collective, continue to pay our source currency, our consciousness, into believing in these systems, right? And to even paying our directing any of our consciousness into them. So if we bring that back and bring it in, and we say, I don't even believe in 5G. I don't believe that 5G exists in my reality. I don't believe that 5G has the capacity to create any harm within my system. And we really hold that field of consciousness, then we begin to witness and experience that as our reality, right? And so all of these things that were brought in this are playing into our ability to transcend any of these fear programs, right? And any of these systems of distortion, etc. Hopefully that was helpful.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Whew, a lot of info there, right? A lot of info there. We're just gonna take a few more quick questions. Destiny, you want to unmute yourself? I know you've been waiting for a long time.
Hi, Alara. Thank you.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Brooklyn. So good to see you on. Oh my gosh. I'm coming to understand why I'm here and what's going on, and it feels like right now there's quite a bit of interference around. It's making it kind of difficult for me to feel present. I just feel like I'm being pulled. And I don't know, I don't want to go into too much story about it. I guess I'm just wondering what you see is happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my feet, it's hard. I'm having a hard time grounding, and my hips feel off.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's interesting that because right before you even said your feet, what I'm hearing is really kind of getting into a practice of like deeper grounding, really, because we all have a very unique technology. And what they're showing of yours right now is just with the astrological shifting of yesterday, so to speak, it's created this even greater sort of felt sense of being like pulled in multiple directions, and it seems like it's had a very significant impact on your own personal poles, right? So just as Gaia has poles, we all have poles too. And each of us are uniquely constructed within our divine architecture. So a few things come in, like immediately drop in. One is that when we go into the transmission, we're going to go into a significant portal of clearing. And so, setting the intention to disengage, and to allow yourself, if it resonates and if you choose, to fully disengage and release any and all frequencies of inorganic nature, any and all inorganic technologies, et cetera, right? To fully disengage, because there are some chaos frequencies and some things that look like, they're a little bit sticky within your field, but nothing to fear, because, we are source, and, and we command our container, we command our field, we command the integrity of it, right? And nothing is more omnipotent outside of ourselves than ourselves as source. So that's the good news. But I see that it's affecting, your endocrine system and your nervous system. And it feels like I can feel it, like it's very palpable. So I can completely appreciate where you are in this now moment. And I'm, just know that, and I'm sure many others here can too, it can get very intense. So water consciousness is big for you. And what I'm hearing is, really connecting to and remembering how water is, a sacred source consciousness. It's a high vibrational, malleable technology, which of course exists as 70+% of our physicality. And yet what I'm seeing is, taking some time to connect with water consciousness, whether it be in meditations, whether it be, outside, but also taking some nice salt baths and allowing yourself to really clear and cleanse and assist actually in the balancing of your poles as well, and your electromagnetic field, because it does feel like you're extra sensitive right now to these shifts that are going on. And it's going to just require greater practices of self-care, self-nourishment, and self-love. Finding foods and ways of nourishment that are also really grounding too. And I don't know if you have an aversion to any of these things, but what I'm feeling and sensing is that like beets and potatoes, and even though we're in spring and we're traditionally kind of moving out of some of those things, all of these things feel like they're going to be assisting you. Also, what I sense and feel coming through is that maybe there's a bit of a malabsorption. I don't know if you've had, some gut issues or anything like that over the past, but it feels like maybe there might be a slight deficiency in magnesium, which is kind of creating a greater ability for this, this feeling of unsettledness. So I'm not a physician. I have to put that out there. But perhaps finding a very bioavailable form of magnesium and putting some of it, you'll find that in the bath with the salt, but, also maybe find, some sort of supplement or, finding different foods that are rich in that as well. And allowing yourself through the breath, through these practices of grounding, through the connection with water, to down regulate that fight or flight response, and bring you back into a greater place of centeredness. And I sense that, again, as we go into this transmission, there's going to be some special frequencies coming in specifically to assist you in what's taking place right now, as well as anyone else that's experiencing similar things, which I'm certain you are not alone in this.
Oh, thank you for that. That was all made so much sense.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Definitely go back and listen, because there was a lot of info there that Brooklyn just gave you, okay?
Yes, thank you, Alara.
You're welcome. Good, thank you.
Thank you, Brooklyn.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you.
All right, we're gonna take one more quick question from who is it? Lucy. Can you explain a little more about our crystalline structure and crystalline upgraded DNA and how we can gracefully open to it for massive healing?
Other lifetimes that the Magdalenists have lived, and they have been incredibly.
Yes, absolutely. So when we were originally seeded as, the original templates, the angelic templates of humanity, we had a fully engaged and activated and embodied 12-strand DNA, a crystalline 12-strand DNA. We weren't in this third density at the time. So many things have taken place to bring us into a lower vibrational field of consciousness. And, and of course, there's so much that goes into that. And I know so many of us have gotten droplets of it, right? And continue to get more and more. And that said, too, as part of, the original angelic template, human template, because we're all unique and because we all have our own unique architecture and blueprint, many had access to much more than the 12 strands. But generally speaking, and as far as, as I'm shown, no one was given less than the 12 strands of crystalline DNA, right? So what does that mean? Well, it means a lot of different things. And what took place over time, this 12-strand DNA gave us full bandwidth of consciousness access, to the 12 dimensions and of consciousness that are part of the fabric of creation of our universal system, right? But so many of us from that time that were here during that time of the original seeding, and even now, are not necessarily of this universal system, but to be able to come in and to incarnate within the system and the matrices of creation of this particular earth experience at that particular time, this was part of our agreement in doing so. So we were going to experience a lesser density than that which many of us are at the core essence and expression of our oversoul, right? Which is the mothership of our total experience as an individuation of source throughout all space-time continuum. So here we come in and we have this 12-strand activated crystalline DNA. There's a lot of ways to describe the difference between carbon-based DNA and crystalline DNA, but for the purposes of time and in grace and ease, we'll just say, through the quickly within the experience of the human experience here on Earth, many different beings from within this universal system decided to come in, and they wanted part of the action. They wanted part of these original source codes. Humanity is starting to remember, but really has no conceptualization of the significance of who they are in terms of, the source access, the access to multiversal technology and multiversal and full connection to prime source creator, right? That's been forgotten, that's been diminished. So through this time of humanity, from this original point of templating with the 12 strands and being completely crystalline, we were brought forth into sort of breeding with, if you will, different beings that didn't hold the same integrity of this original angelic template, this original human template. And just like, and I know this is a funny example to use, but someone is calling it in right now, I guess. Just as you have a purebred dog, for instance, right? You have a pure breed of dog. It's never been bred with any other breed of dog in its existence, in its lineage. And then you take that breed and you begin to breed it with another, type of dog. Things change. Lots of things change because now you have the gene pools from these two different breeds, And, and they try to make it work, but some things, begin to fail, some things begin to shift, some things begin to break down. Same thing took place. There were these beings that came in, they wanted to have in on the action. They wanted to have the ability to have pure connection with Prime Source Creator. They wanted these original angelic creation codes, which hold massive technologies, massive gifts, massive abilities, and massive consciousness bandwidth. So in doing so, they began to allow for their own collective selves, so to speak, to be able to transcend different limitations of their own consciousness and their own technology. Anyways, leading from that moment to this moment now, lots of different agendas came into place. Lots of different galactic wars came into place. Lots of different, technologies and matrices of enslavement, of all sorts of systems of separation came in to dumb us down and to keep us, humanity, within this reincarnation wheel, within this third density. And in doing so, there's been a massive dilution of our crystalline DNA. We've gone into a much greater embodiment of carbon-based DNA. Yet what is referred to by science as junk DNA is actually the potential that exists within each and every one of us, with the resources of that which is coming in, etc., with our design of blueprint in our own personal kind of points in time on this incarnation timeline to awaken. We have now regained access to significant gateways and portals of original angelic creator collectives and accesses of plasma light, etc., to be able to transcend, right? To be able to transmute these this carbon-based DNA, which is very dense and holds lots of different genetic distortions and fragmentations, and come back into whatever uniquely is our own representation and embodiment of crystalline DNA, of that angelic template, which allows for us to house our oversoul, right? It allows for us to house this massive amount of high vibrational plasma frequency and source consciousness in our human experience here, once again, which was greatly diluted, and sort of we lost the ability to do so as the genes and our cellular structure began to be brought down into lower and lower and lower frequencies of consciousness. Hopefully that was translatable.
It was awesome. Thank you. No, that was a lot of info. Again, I think that was for Lucy, maybe? So please
Yes.
let us know. Yeah, let us know how that was for you. And if you have any further questions about that, but hopefully it resonates. So I wanted to, yeah, it was, powerful info. So I want to talk a little bit about the package, Brooklyn, and then I want to make sure we have time to do the transmission, because I know we all really need that, definitely need, because it's going to assist us in what is going on with each and every one of us right now. So 1 second, I am going to share my screen in just a second. I'm going to put the link here first. Yeah, I wish I could go all night too, but I unfortunately have another call after this one. So alara.at/show/Brooklyn4. So let me just share my screen. 1 sec. Usually should be okay. All right, so we have a package from Brooklyn, and this is the connecting to and creating from the portal of infinite source potential, what we've been talking about, right? But there are 6 Zoom calls with Zoom transmissions. So Brooklyn, do you want to just share a little bit about what people can experience in each of the weeks, for example?
Absolutely. So this is a recorded series of transmissions, and you'll, as we go into the transmission here together today, you'll get sort of just, a brief glance at the energies and the frequencies, that would come forth in greater expression through the series of transmissions. Week one goes into a deep clearing and cleansing and really assisting us in bringing through an ability to connect to greater clarity and awareness, and prompting of letting go of those self-limiting beliefs, right? Letting go of those quantum entanglements into the systems of separation, within this matrices, right? Letting go of deep cellular imprints, on our collective, ancestral and personal soul level that exist within us, that are in polarity to our desire to fully embody ourselves as this portal of infinite source potential. So it's week one is a deep, a clearing and cleansing, and also connection to this portal. And then each week we go into greater and greater depths of witnessing ourselves, witnessing all that exists within us, and around us and as us. And, and gives us the opportunity, holds the space to let go and to release, and to also to embody. And there are lots of different source codes and frequencies that are coming in as we're allowing ourselves to surrender into the release of that which no longer serves us. We're creating more space, and we're giving ourselves the opportunity to connect and to receive to these powerful frequencies that are coming in to remind us on a cellular level of who we are and why we're here, and move us beyond any perceived limitations of what it is that we are capable of creating. So there's a progression each week, and you don't have to, if it resonates and is something that you feel is in deep resonance, you don't have to stick to the order of the transmissions necessarily, but there is an encouragement to do week one first, just because there's such a grand preparation. And you may find also, if it resonates, that you want to hang out and do week one, multiple times, right? So that's something that we often forget that we have permission to do as well, right? We have permission to navigate through things however we desire to, because we are source, and also permission to listen to that inner voice. Layla brought up such a beautiful ability for us to remember that we have lots of choices, right? We have lots of choices, and there's infinite potential in every choice, and there's an infinite potential in every moment. And so, really listening and allowing that further, tuning and attuning of our internal compass, our 0 point, our high heart, to assist us in navigating through it. And a lot of times people will ask, like, do I need to wait, a week in between? And there's no wrong or right way to do it. Sometimes that's nice because it gives you integration time. It gives time for some unwinding. It gives us time to, to be really present and to be able to even kind of receive all the gems that are coming in and reminding us of who we are, right, as this portal of infinite source potential. So, but some people, everybody's different and unique, and some people are like, nope, I know myself. I know what I'm being called forth to do, and I'm going to do them all back to back, right? So I say, amazing, and please let me know how your experience goes.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, but they are recorded. So these are not live. They are recorded, and you have access to them for as long as you desire, infinitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Lucy also asked, but yeah, these are recorded, so they're not live. So you don't have to worry about the time zone that you're in, Lucy. So not to worry. And yes, Kathy, they're all recorded. So they're pre-recorded. So they're already in the portal for you to access. And like Brooklyn was saying, you can do one at a time, or you can do all at once. I would be gentle and kind to myself and do them one at a time, at least give yourself a few days. But yes, again, this package is available at alara.at/show/Brooklyn4. And there are 2 and 3 part payment plans available, and the 24-hour special is available as well. Use gift code TACS10, TACS10. All right, so definitely take a look at it. I was just reading some of the benefits of the package, right? And one of them was have the opportunity to embody and discover how, through the portal of infinite source potential, you can transmute massive timeline potential that no longer match your creation plan, and create and ground the timelines that you most desire to live and experience as an individual and for the collective of humanity. Yes, right? So that is like, yes, you no longer have to continue holding on to the energies of those timelines that no longer are congruent with you, right? That no longer match your creation plan. You can transmute them and really focus more on the timelines that you do want to create, you do want to experience, etc. So that's just one of the benefits for you to look at. There's more here. Please do take a look at it. Look at why, if this package is for you. It's for anyone who would like assistance in remembering how to create through the lens of pure source consciousness without those perceived conditions and constraints and judgments. So there's more here for you to look at as well. Anything, I'm just going to stop sharing for a second, see if there's anything else that was written here. Drink a lot of water. These transmissions are really powerful. So yes, and we all need a lot of water right now in order to really move the energy. Okay. So again, that's available at alara.at/show/Brooklyn4. All right, Brooklyn. So we want to do the transmission. I know it's going to be powerful. It's always powerful.
Yeah, I'm excited. Well, it's as powerful as all the beings that are gathered here today, and you all feel like very powerful master beings of light. So thank you for joining and co-creating this. Okay, so here we go. So taking a few deep breaths, perhaps, if that feels right. For some people, you may find greater comfort in lying down, and others may be staying seated. So honoring what you're feeling in this now moment, of course, and always. Taking a few deep breaths, dropping into the heart, dropping into that high heart, right in the center of your chest plate, connecting, dropping in, setting the intention to fully let go, to release, to disengage from anything and everything that no longer serves, and to bring forth, to embody, to activate with grace and ease all that desires, that is in the highest alignment of your own unique divine architecture and blueprint, in accordance to the highest prime source creator law and order, opening us up into this portal, the portal of infinite source potential. And as we connect and as we surrender and we let go of any stories, of any mind chatter, allowing ourselves, should we choose in this now moment, as we connect to our hearts, allowing ourselves to come into the full identification with ourselves as source, the unique individuations of pure source consciousness that each and every one of us are and always have been. Letting go of any and all resistance to this divine truth, and allowing ourselves to navigate this transmission of here and now in the greatest connection as the witnessing observer, the greatest connection as ourselves, embodied as source. Rambiasa praya sumienrienraya preniandreandavut. Hia prasa mienriengura sandrayaru. Undra praya sindindrandrandrandrabiatra sandrandra. Ora praya sieshanan brea sundri pishaniandra wandrandaya. Alala sumbra sumbia shaniandre pia sundro kriesi. Prusa pra praya samiendiandrandra. Flowing down and through and all around us. Flowing down and through and all around, a radiant flow of pure prime source creator, impenetrable light. This pure diamond white light flowing down and through and all around each and every one of us. As this liquid field of radiant source plasma flows down and through, we feel it instantaneously beginning to disengage, transmute, melt away any and all frequencies of discordance, disease, discomfort, any and all inorganic frequencies, technologies that no longer match our intention of who we are and why we're here on the highest connection to our source blueprint, our divine architecture. Feeling this light moving down and through each and every one of the cells of each and every one of our bodies, moving down through our perfectly constructed, unique hologram that we have so intricately participated in the co-creation of. And as this moves down and through, we allow ourselves to breathe, giving ourselves permission to connect with the sacred source consciousness of breath. And on each inhale, bringing in more of our divine light, more of this radiant, pure prime source creator light. And on our exhale, releasing, disengaging, giving full permission to the surrendering and the letting go of anything and everything that is in polarity to our full embodiment of ourselves as the portal of infinite source potential. Yambra praya satra sipishan yandre mi sundro krasa traya sini yandre. Umbra praya sundre mi shundri yandraya sandre. Undra praya siya shundrandaya andrea sundriya san. Wapra sambiya shundri kraso satre suni yandre. Undra we yandra trisapas. Feeling now as this radiant flow of immaculate divine clarity, this pure source clarity begins to flow down and through our central channel, bringing forth, magnetizing any and all frequencies of discordance, distortion, any and all frequencies that are not in full alignment with our embodiment of I am divine clarity. I am divine clarity. I am divine clarity. I command the full clearing, cleansing, disengaging of all agreements and contracts consciously and unconsciously made throughout all space-time continuum that are not in the full resonance in accordance to my highest divine blueprint here and now, in accordance to the highest prime source creator, law and order. I, as source, embodied as a human being, command the disengaging, clearing, cleansing of any and all portals of energy leaks within my auric field, within all aspects, layers, and levels of my meridians, chakras, gateways, and portals, as I am the commander of my light ship. I am source embodied. I, as an eternal source being of pure prime source creator, light and love, command the full resurrection and embodiment of all systems of pure divine clarity, all systems of pure divine illumination, restored and resurrected within. I disengage here and now from any and all portals, any and all interfacing from AI technology, from any and all beings that are not aligned in the highest prime source creator, light, love, intention, law, and order. Krao samieshi atriya sundre miangra sundraya andraya andraya propia sandra rayandraye Iralolo Samra Elio Sundri Pearson Andrai Andre Undra Ruyawe Yan Yasini Andrumi Andran Hurra Rayasaru Prusa Pesini Amiangangwaso Sodeshaniana What Siandran Hawe Pro Huan Pra Yandren Wood, Siandre Biaru Sundri Piatra Sandre Pishiniandrana, O Prasambia Sandia Siniashani, Sundra Pi Sundra Sandra, Purietrase, Sambia Harusi, Pranian, Undra Paya Sambiashan. Prasa Sandra Sapiesa Susirtia Sumbi Sundieti Hutra Pupetatai Simiandre Andres Piatrasi Sundia Piasani. Opening, allowing, feeling the light, feeling your own unique light and sound signature beginning to radiate, beginning to overflow like an overflowing wellspring of pure divinity, feeling, sensing, and witnessing, perhaps in a way in which you've never experienced before, the truest and highest expression and essence of yourself as source here and now, opening the gateways, pathways, and portals to pure prime source direct knowing, opening and allowing, disengaging, melting away, transmuting all other systems of distortion, all other threads of communication, access to dimensional ranges of consciousness that are not aligned with you and your unique blueprint of here and now. Opening, allowing, and feeling as we now bring ourselves, feeling ourselves being brought by this radiant collective of pure prime source creator light beings, bringing us into the greater depths and exploration, the felt sense of this portal, this immaculate portal of infinite source potential. Beyond the God realms, we find ourselves in this portal of potential, potential free of all conditions, potential free of all constraints, free of all finite structures and matrices, pure potential. And we begin to feel and witness as this potential shows up now as a radiant diamond mirror, expressing, showing us and allowing our cellular DNA, our cellular water in this transmission of here and now to begin to feel, sense, and embody ourselves as this micro of the macro of the portal of infinite source potential. I am a portal of infinite source potential. I am a portal of infinite source potential. I am a portal of infinite source potential. I am. Raya Surya Samawe Kiaru Suraya Ruaya Unra Rupiarian Sinimria Trautuayanien Hawi Prora Hararia Sambiashanan Uatar Hure Pro Taking a moment now as we feel ourselves expanding, letting go, feeling our nervous system letting go of massive layers of fight or flight that was in response to these fear programs of unworthiness, not enough, scarcity, letting go as we further allow ourselves to open into the full surrender, the surrender into the embodiment of ourselves as infinite potential, feeling and allowing as we feel this liquid plasma light now flowing down and through, this radiant flow of superabundance, the superabundance, planting the seeds of superabundance within each and every one of our chakras, meridians, gateways, and portals here and now. And as this radiant plasma of consciousness of superabundance flows in and through, we see it, feel it, know it, expressing and engaging in the portal of infinite potential that we are, feeling it, planting its seeds of pure radiant abundance, magnetizing in our real time, in our here and now, all that we desire to create, to experience as the eternal creator beings of pure source potential we are, allowing and feeling, taking a moment, bringing ourselves into the awareness of our heart center, our solar plexus, and our womb, sacral chakra, and allowing ourselves now to bring forth into these centers of pure source communication, that which we desire to create as our reality. Taking a moment in this now moment, allowing ourselves free of all judgment in the flow of childlike curiosity and joy. What is it that I, as an infinite creator being and portal of infinite source potential, desire to create as my reality? There are no limitations to what this may be for you, as you are infinite potential. You have the potential, you are the potential to manifest and create infinite experiences, infinite miracles, infinite dreams. You are superabundance. You are infinite potential. You are the micro of the macro of the womb of all creation. Allowing ourselves in this now moment to ground into the center of our heart, solar plexus, and womb, to bring forth and plant the seeds of our limitless dreams that we desire, bringing into and allowing ourselves to bring forth into grand manifestation that which we desire to create as our reality. Perhaps it's for ourselves in this now moment. And if so, remembering that which we create and exist as is part of the one. I am you, you are me, we are one. Everything that we do in creation for our own reality amplifies out, ripples out into the quantum field of all that is, and brings forth the vibrational invitation of that creation to all within existence. Opening, allowing, embodying. And as we do so, as we allow ourselves to bring in and plant the seeds of this radiant dream of creation, we now feel ourselves being supported in a calm of pure platinum source light, going all around us, bringing us down now, down through the central column of the all that is, down through the cosmos, down into the crystalline diamond core and womb center of Sophia Gaia, Mother Earth. As we begin to feel ourselves now grounding into real time, grounding into our physical bodies, and grounding our dream into the crystalline diamond grid of Gaia, allowing it to grow, expand, and manifest within real time. Feeling this diamond light flowing down and through, assisting, nourishing, nurturing, assisting us in grounding all the way down and throughout our feet chakras, down into and through and into the diamond grid network of Gaia, manifesting in real time, creating in real time all that we've brought forth in our intention through ourselves as this portal of infinite potential. Beginning to feel as we place one hand upon our heart and one hand upon our sacral and solar plexus, we begin to take some breaths and further ground ourselves back into our bodies, back into the here and now. Aum Yandya Praya Siya Voya O. Aum Mayangraya Trepia Troso Tremian Rishtrayanan. Aum Gaya Ruai. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Taking a moment, further grounding into the here and now, into this now moment, perhaps pouring gratitude into and through and all around, expressing it into the quantum field all around. Gratitude to yourselves for showing up in such a grand way. Gratitude to all the beings, guides, and collectives that are here to assist us in our greater embodiment as the portal of infinite source potential.
Wow. I don't even know what to say. It's like, wow, that was amazing. Whew. How is everyone feeling? That was so different to what I was expecting. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. That was so amazing. We definitely want to drink some water. Yes, Linda, that was fantastic. Definitely drink something for sure. Oh, wow. That's just a thank you, Brooklyn. So good. Much love and appreciation. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely water is a grand and great reminder. It just again speaks to all who have gathered here and your beauty and your heart space and your intention. It's very palpable, and I'm honored and grateful to have co-created this together. So thank you.
Wide awake on all levels of the body. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, this was, you definitely want to listen to that again. If Sherry said, I can't talk. Sherry said that was, what a gift. That was really amazing. Yeah, exactly. So you definitely want to listen to this whole call again, because there's so much information, so much wisdom. And then of course the transmission, which I knew was going to blow your socks off, but this was like, wow, I have to say, it's much more than I expected. So thank you.
Thank you. Love our time together.
I love the toning. I love the light language. One of the, you're gonna laugh, but one of the things I was thinking when you were doing the light language, especially, or during the whole transmission, was you really should have an album. Like that was so good. You really should have an album, like recorded album of transmissions, and just like, I didn't know your voice was so amazing. You've done light language before, I'm sure, but it's like today was like beyond.
I appreciate it. Well, I will just say I am an instrument of all of your higher selves and oversouls. So that was your own beauty, collective beauty coming through in sound. So thank you.
Oh, wow. Please, Sherry says, I agree. Linda says it was beautiful. Yes. Lucy says, thank you so much. Absolutely awesome. Adore superabundance. Wishing superabundance, divine goodness for all. Yes, for sure. Yeah, the light language is superb and your singing is beautiful. So many visuals too. Awesome, Angela. Good. And Ellen was saying I could hear so much. Yeah, right. And yeah, it was amazing. Your voice was different during the transmission. Yeah. Mhm. You might have to listen to it.
I'm like, huh.
You might have to listen to it. Kathy said, thank you so much, bright light. I feel amazing. I felt I was in sacred space and transported somewhere that was incredibly special. So beautiful. Yeah, I mean, that's a wonderful way of describing that, Kathy. Thank you. So again, if you'd like to work more with Brooklyn's teachings, wisdom, transmissions, please do check out the package, lara.at/show/Brooklyn4. They are pre-recorded, but just listen to what we experienced today, right? Amazing. Amazing. So please do check that out and really dive deeper into this portal of infinite potential. I can't even talk. I'm like completely blissed out. I need to drink. I need to like ground some more as well. So thank you. And thank you so much, Brooklyn, and your team for what a wonderful, wonderful show today. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really I'm so grateful for the connection and the experience and all the beautiful heart lights that are shining here. It's overwhelmingly beautiful. So thank you.
And everyone, please be gentle with yourself. Drink water, get some fresh air, ground some more, and enjoy this beautiful energy that we just received, the beautiful transmission that we just received. Soak it all in, receive it all. Okay, so and drink more and more water. Yes. And yeah, definitely. I don't even know what to say. So thank you everyone for being here, co-creating this beautiful space. And thank you for your questions, comments, and feedback. I know we didn't get to everybody, but your voices have been heard during that transmission. If you truly received it, your voices were heard, your questions were answered. Yes, thank you. Okay, so until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all much love and blessings always. Bye for now. Have a great afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Bye for now, everyone.